Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to be making a tier list for the new update. I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think about the new units and the new update overall. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to join my Discord. It's almost at 1,000 members and I want to keep going even past that. Plus I am doing a giveaway for a 3x game pass and another battle pass or event pass, whichever one you want. With all that being said, onto the video. Okay guys, so today I'm going to be making a tier list for the current update. Starting off, we have Dio, and Dio I'm going to put into meta. Mainly because, especially in this new event, he's just had so much room to shine, and I know he's also getting a rework, which may even make him better, or could even make him worse. But they said, from what I understand, it's going to make him better. I would highly recommend getting him if you can. Shadow Knight, I would say, is B tier. I think he's really good for early game, but I think mid game he kind of falls off, and late game he's unusable. Same thing probably goes with Gravity Priest. I think he is good early to mid game, but then falls off late game. Yuno is a top tier support, so I would highly recommend trading for her if you get her. She's really good for freezing strats. Golden Will is sub meta. In my personal opinion, I think he's one of the best units in the game. Feral Fang is, I would say, A tier. She is really good for speed team units, especially if you have Shadowborn. And since I'm talking about him anyways, I'll throw Shadowborn. Right now, I'm gonna throw him sub meta, but I think normally he sits about A, mainly because he's only really good right now because I believe there's a bug with his ultimate ability damage, and he's doing a lot more damage than he should be. But I think, like, if that is a bug, then I think he goes down to A. But if that's not a bug and that's just how he is due to specific gear or whatnot, then I would say sub meta. Blood Scythe is probably C tier. He was meta, but then they nerfed his passive, so I would say he's about C tier. Otaku is C tier. Vorpal Magician is a really good support. She applies damage based on every ability attack she does, and she has a really small ability attack. I believe it's ability attack. I could be mixing that up, but I believe it's ability attack. Black Mask, I would just do C tier. Crimson Owl, I would say right now is sub meta. I think once her rework happens, she will go back up to meta, like how she's been pretty much the entirety of her lifespan. But I think right now she's sub meta, even almost A. Night King, I'm gonna put up with A. Mainly because she has the same thing with Feral Fang, where she's just a really good rusher, but outside of that she's not really the greatest. I hope to see her get maybe an evolution during the Fate update, which has already been confirmed. That would be pretty cool. Bunny, I would say, is B tier, like probably high B tier. I would say, well, actually no, I'm gonna say she's A tier because damage wise she's better than these two, but I think utility wise she's below these two, so I'll put her like right in the middle. Blood Queen, I think, is high A tier, mainly because she's just one of the highest stacking bleed units in the game, and she has a passive that makes it to where if an enemy dies from bleeding, they explode, I believe, which causes other enemies to start bleeding. So very good. Fingernail Saint meta, one of the best DPS units in the game. He can get up to like 500% crit damage, so pretty dang OP. Solar Fist, I would say, is high B. I think he's really good early to mid, and he can also buff other DBZ units and give them, I think, 20% damage. So if you want to use him as a support for your DBZ characters, he's very good that way. Black Reaper, I would say, is like low B. Almighty, I would say, is probably like high B. Yuta right now is meta, but again, I think he is similar to Shadowborn, where he's bugged right now with his ultimate damage. So I think normally he'd probably be probably around B, like mid to high B, or mid, like high B, low A, probably actually. But I think right now he's meta. Ichigo is probably like right there. Not as good as Blood Queen in my opinion, but still very solid. Shin Reverse is a really good support because he causes enemies to walk backwards, I believe. So I would probably put him like right there. He's not as good as these two. I'd still rather have these two on the team, but if you have him, he's a good support. Jackpot, probably like right above Ichigo or below Ichigo, like right here, give or take. Mainly just because he has an ability that scales his damage and he also goes invincible. So he's like a really good mid to late game kind of tank unit if you happen to get him from the AFK chamber. Pride Sun, I think, is better than Blood Queen. I think he is one of the best, if not the best, tank unit in the game. He also takes off enemies' health by 10% when he spawns in. He slows them by 15%. He's just a very, very good tank to have all around. Leaf Ninja, I think, is utility-wise, like up here, like right in between these two, because I think recently he's been seeing a lot of action in certain strats. Like, I know that he has a slot in a fast clear time for the new fall event. He had the 145% dodge rate for rifts that carried him a lot. So overall, he's a very decent unit to have just in case there's a strat in the future that requires him. Lullaby, I would say, is probably right here for support. I think she's really good. She allows allies to have more range, more damage, and certain effects to last longer. So she's really, really good for support. I'd probably put her right there. Lord Slime, I would say, is probably like right here, give or take. He does really good damage, but he just kind of falls off unless you're in a game mode that just lasts a long time, as he has a passive that stacks up damage the more he hits a target, I believe. Umbrella Fang, really, really good support. I would say probably even better than Lullaby, in my personal opinion. He makes units take 20% more damage, so he's just really good. Silver Reaper, I would say probably definitely like high A or high B, I would say. Like almost A tier. Like you could put him here and it'd be fine, but I'm gonna put him like high A. So Eclipse Sorcerer, unfortunately, is just not that good. I think he's like probably like right there below Solar Fist. Soul King, really, really good. I would still say these three are better to have than him, but he's very, very good. Full AoE. He has an ultimate ability that increases not only him but all allies damage by 100%. So he's very, very good to have, and he's a pretty easy-ish ranger to get in retrospect. I mean, you only really need to do boss rush like 50 times, and even though it's time consuming, boss rush in itself isn't difficult, I would say, at least for like mid to late game players, which is when I feel like you should probably be going for him. Uruhara is probably like right here. I think I'm pretty sure he does do like some sort of support skill. I'm not 100% sure, because I mainly just got him for the quest for Soul King. I never used him myself, but I don't really see him used ever. So I would say he's probably right here in terms of utility. Unohana, probably like right next to Blood Queen. These two are like on the same tier. I think they can both be switched out if you don't have one or the other, but they're both very, very good. Flame Captain, I would say, is like probably high A. If you don't have Umbrella Fang, he's really good to have. He doesn't cause enemies to take more damage per se, but the stacking of his flames are just really good. Plus he has an ultimate that does a lot of damage, and I would say he's a very, very solid unit to have. Immortal Captain, I would say, goes like in A tier, because he's probably the second best tank unit in the game, second or third best tank unit in the game. He has the chance of not taking damage depending on the how high his health scales. Thunder Goddess meta, I'd even put it up probably like above Soul King. I think she has one of the highest damage ceilings in the game, especially with Skeleton Knight. She is very, very OP with a crit build and just a must need. So I would definitely go for her if you don't have her. Blood Devil, outside of using her for Denji's passive, I would say she's kind of meh. If you're going to use a bleeding unit, I would rather use Unohana or Blood Queen, but I'll throw her like right behind Ichigo. Ice General, overall, is probably high sub meta. I'm actually gonna move Yamamoto down to low sub meta. So, and then I feel, yeah, I like that a little bit more. So Ice General, very, very good. She slows units the closer they are to her in her range, and she's just a must need. She freezes, she has an ultimate freeze, so she's just very, very good. Last Survivor, I never really used her. I haven't really seen a lot of people using her, but I would assume, like, stat-wise of when she came out, she's gotta at least be A, probably at least like here, I would say. So if you're like mid-game, she'd probably be really good for you. Pink Sniper, sub-meta, She's very, very good with the right build. She just does insane amounts of damage. And that's pretty much all I really got to say about her. Hemo, I probably am going to put B tier. I think they tried to make her a decent like substituting tank with her passive, but it kind of didn't really work out the way I think they wanted it to. And it just kind of made her bland and not really usable, especially over Pride or even Immortal Captain. So I would put her right about there. Control Devil, I'd probably put above her because I don't really see her used at all. And I'm not even really entirely sure what she does, but I haven't seen her in any team or meta whatsoever. Chainsaw Devil, I would say, is high A. I think he's one of the best rushers in the game. He can, if you max him out, or I think get him to like upgrade 3 or 4, he literally has 12 speed, which is the highest speed stat in the game, I believe. He has a passive that allows him to do 200% more damage to units affected by dot, so he's really good to have as a sub meta. But I would probably put him like at least like A. I think depending on your team, if you don't have like any of these guys, you could bring him and be a solid replacement. Virtual Swordswoman, she's really only good if you have Virtual Swordsman. So I would say by herself, she's like mid A. If you have Kirito with her, I think she's high A. So I think by herself though, she's like right about there. Kirito, very good. I would say probably high A. I'd probably put him like right here. Again, if you have Asano with him, I'd probably even put him in sub meta, but I think right now he's probably high A. Virtual Sniper, I think is like up there with Kirito. I think she's really, really good, especially with her crit, with a crit build. I think she's one of the best and safest DPS that you can get, especially for how easy she is to get. You just get her from the Ranger stages on the virtual world, I believe. Perfect Cell, if this was when his ult affected the entire map, I would put him in sub meta, but now I would say he's probably like here. I think there are maybe here. I think these guys I'd rather just have on my team a lot more often than Cell. Infant Conqueror, I'd probably put low A. He's not really that useful whatsoever. Griffin, best support in the game, 100% recommend getting him. You just need to get him. He's just the best damage support in the game. Skeleton Knight, I would put him like right below Griffin in support, even though he does already do a lot of damage himself. So like if you were to scale him based off damage, I'd probably put him like right here, give or take, like right behind Chainsaw Devil. But I choose to put him in support mainly because 9 times out of 10, if you're bringing him to buff Thunder Goddess, you're bringing him to buff other units that may not do enough damage. And I think overall he's just a really good unit to have because he brings other units that haven't seen meta at all into light. Like I know I saw a strat with Virus Shade, which is a JoJo unit, and they were doing like insane amount of damage with their poison ticks, so because of Skeleton Knight. So highly recommend getting him. Prodigy, one of the best units in the game. I would say he is lower than Soul King only because the way his passive works is he gets capped out on damage, where Soul King doesn't. So if you have Griffith on, his damage scaling is a lot higher than Gohan, so that's where I'd probably put him. Drink, I think, is sub meta. I think if you are in a game mode where your allies are constantly dying, I think he's very good. Or if you have a strat where you're possibly using like lower tier characters, like if you're using Vorpal Magician or Yuno, or like characters that are constantly dying, he's a good sub meta DPS to have because of his passive, where he gains damage and range and all that due to when units die around him. Cybernetic Infusion, I haven't really seen too much on her. I'm just gonna throw her probably like mid A. Haven't really seen too much on them to really judge. Prodigy Ascendant, I'd probably throw above Cybernetic. Shenron, I think, is sub meta, probably like right there. Sub meta, I think he's very good. He has like 3 different status effects. He has buffing to where he buffs allies, he debuffs enemies. There's also like his ultimate where he sheds all the buffs and does like a giant explosion for like 175% of his damage. So he's very good to get. I would highly recommend getting him. You just need to get all the Dragon Balls. and then you can get him. Primal Fusion, I would throw probably like right below Griffin. These two are tied for first place in my personal opinion, mainly because I think there are teams where you can have both of them. I think there are teams where you can have one of them or the other, and it would probably work the exact same. I think they're both like the best support units in the game, so I would highly recommend getting those. Berserker is kind of in an interesting situation. I think he's probably high A, and I did hear he got a rework, but when I was messing around with him again after the rework, I didn't really notice anything different unless they just changed his scaling or his stats. I'm not 100% sure. But damage wise, I think he's like right there. I think overall Virtual Swordsman is better, and Pride I think mainly just due to his passive and like utility wise is better. But Berserker is very good to have. And he does do bleeding, I believe, as well. So that's why I'm also putting him above Unohana and Blood Queen. But bleeding isn't his main aspect. So that's why I think if you're going for bleed as your main point, you would still want to bring those two. Falcon of Darkness, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think I'm gonna put C tier. I think overall he's good, but I don't know any mode where he would want to be used. I did hear that maybe like you want to use him in like the new Infinite mode, so like maybe because of that I would put him in B tier, but like even then I just don't know. I think there are just so many other units that I would rather bring than Falcon of Darkness, because not only does he stop you from using your units, but he just is not that good. And then I think his other form requires like a long period of time, like probably like 5 minutes to stack up all his passives. And even then, it's just at that point, just bring Soul King or Prodigy, you know what I mean? So Boros, I heard, is busted. I'm putting him meta probably like up here because I heard he gets up to like 100 million DPS or damage for his abilities. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if that's just what it is. I have no idea. But I've heard he makes the new fall event like a 1 minute clear with just him alone. So that is already enough to put him in meta. Rascal, like I said, I believe he has a support function, is at least what you would mainly want. I think probably like right there is where I'd put him. I think I'd still rather have Yuno, Skeleton Knight, Primal Fusion, and Griffith on most other teams for support. Lelouch, I'd probably put high A tier. I've heard his scaling is pretty insane. You could probably argue even like sub-meta, but I think like a high A tier is probably where I'd put him, like top of A tier. Speedster, I'd honestly probably put like low, like above these guys, I'd say, but I just don't really see him being that useful in a lot of situations. Spider's a little bit interesting because I was reading his passive, and his passive scales off his skill resistance, which is kind of interesting because with a full build that I was able to work with, you're able to get him up to 80% skill resistance, which basically means that his ability and his damage is getting multiplied by 80%. I think he's a little bit slept on, but overall, I would say like just pure damage wise, I'd probably put him like A, probably like right there. And then Akuma right now is meta. Like he literally is really good. Get a full evade build on him, low range, and the longer he survives, the more damage he's doing, man. He's just shredding the fall boss, and he's just a very good unit. So, but that is my current tier list for this update. I'm pretty happy with my tier list. I could probably move a couple units after looking at it, but I think overall I'm pretty satisfied with my tier list. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know if you guys think I am sleeping on someone, if someone is a lot better than where I placed them. Let me know. I can't claim I know everything about this game. I do know a lot more compared to the average person, but I don't know 100% of everything. I do try and do some research into it, but at the end of the day, there's just so many units in this game. But anyways, I think that's where I'm gonna probably end it off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am trying to hit 5,000 subs by the end of the year. And also don't forget to join my Discord down below. It's nearing 1,000 active members, and I want to just keep that going. I am also doing a giveaway for a 3x pass and another giveaway for the battle pass or the event pass, whichever one you don't have. Outside of that, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope you guys like this tier list, and I'll see you guys in the next one.